What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Charles Oliveira plans to shock the world at UFC 280. On Saturday night, former UFC lightweight champion Charles Oliveira will step into the octagon to face streaking contender Islam Makhachev in a highly anticipated showdown for the vacant lightweight title. Despite the fact that Makhachev will be entering the bout on an incredible win streak, many feel as though he's not yet earned a shot at the title. With notable wins over Dan Hooker and most recently Bobby Green, it's hard to ignore the fact that his 10-fight win streak lacks wins over top-ranked contenders. This week, during his Fight Week media obligations, former champion Charles Oliveira spoke about the circumstances surrounding the fight. The way he sees things, Makhachev was given a title shot as a result of his long-time friendship with Khabib Nurmagomedov, not his accomplishments inside the octagon. Speaking to reporters in Portuguese, Oliveira explained that although he respects his opponent, he feels Makhachev should have had to beat top contenders like he did. "I think Islam deserves all the respect in the world," Oliveira said, "but I think he should have fought somebody maybe in the top 5 like I did, not just surf on someone else's wave and skip the line like he did." Following Makhachev's win over Bobby Green, UFC President Dana White expressed his interest in seeing Makhachev and Beneil Dariush compete for the #1 contender spot at lightweight. Despite that, longtime commentator and comedian Joe Rogan urged White to book a title fight between the two elite-level grapplers. Although White was initially reluctant to give Makhachev a title shot without beating a top-ranked contender, the bout between Oliveira and Makhachev was then made official. With just days to go until the two collide inside the octagon, do you think Makhachev has what it takes to get the job done? Or will Charles Oliveira once again take his place atop the 155-pound division? Give us your thoughts in the comments below. Daniel Cormier shoots down rumors of return fight against Jon Jones. UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier has been retired for quite some time now. After losing to Stipe Miocic in the summer of 2020, Cormier announced his retirement from fighting, closing the book on his storied career. Despite that, Cormier has found his name in the rumor mill as fans have speculated that he could return to the octagon to fight longtime rival Jon Jones at UFC 282. During a recent episode of DC and RC on ESPN, the former two-division champion addressed the rumors, confirming to fans that he is, in fact, still retired.
Look, hey, listen, RC, when you realize you can make money without tackling people and getting punched in the face, it's a whole new world, ain't it? It's like, well, I can make this amount of money without actually fighting. Like, I ain't gotta go back and fight. Man, get out of here, man.
This, of course, leaves Jon Jones without an opponent for the end of the year. The former UFC light heavyweight kingpin has been absent from the octagon since his early 2020 decision win over Dominic Reyes. The following summer, Jones relinquished his 205-pound title and set his sights on heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou. Since then, however, Jones has continued to tease fans regarding his eventual move to heavyweight, but unfortunately, after years of waiting, Jones's heavyweight debut continues to hang in the balance. Although the UFC revealed their intentions to have Jones fight Ngannou when the champion returned from knee surgery, the Predator's return has continued to be pushed back. Recently, the UFC revealed that Jones was ready to go for the December 10th card. However, without Ngannou being ready, the promotion doesn't have an opponent for the former champion. With no named opponent for Jones, we turn to you. Who do you want to see the former champion fight on the UFC 282 card? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. Belal Muhammad takes aim at Khamzat Chimaev leading up to UFC 280. Streaking contender Belal Muhammad has never been one to hold his tongue. The dominant welterweight is currently gearing up for his UFC 280 showdown with Sean Brady this weekend, where he hopes to secure himself a title fight with the winner of next year's trilogy bout between Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman. However, that hasn't stopped him from taking aim at bitter rival Khamzat Chimaev. Belal Muhammad has been one of the few fighters on the UFC roster who has continued to call out Chimaev over the course of the last few years. Despite that, the pair have never fought one another, something Muhammad seems eager to change in the coming year. Ahead of his scheduled bout with Sean Brady this weekend, Muhammad spoke about Chimaev's massive weigh-in miss for his scheduled fight with Nate Diaz that ultimately resulted in the UFC being forced to reshuffle the entire main card at the 11th hour. Specifically, Muhammad took aim at the fact that Chimaev seemed to completely disregard the fact that he came in nearly 10 pounds overweight.
I mean, in general, he's just fat. Like, stop eating fat, stop being fat, stop acting stupid, get disciplined, because now that could have cost you, you would have probably got a title fight right off of that if you would have won and you would have came out and weight. So now it costs you that opportunity. I mean, the UFC obviously still loves him, so he may still get a title fight or in a piece of the company just because of how big his name is right now. But for fighters in general, we look at that like disrespect. When you're coming in that high and you're just laughing and giving a middle finger, that's a joke.
Unfortunately for Muhammad, it appears as though Chimaev's immediate future is at middleweight after the 3-time Swedish national wrestling champion missed weight for his scheduled bout with Diaz. UFC President Dana White and Chimaev's head coach both agreed that the best thing for Chimaev would be to go up to middleweight for his next fight. Whether or not that stops Muhammad from calling him out on the mic after a potential win this Saturday, only time will tell. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Petr Yan dubs Sean O'Malley as Conor McGregor wannabe. Although Sean O'Malley has continued to be one of the most talked about prospects in the UFC, not everyone is a fan of the brash bantamweight. With his significant multicolored hair and outspoken personality, O'Malley has, without a doubt, rubbed some fans the wrong way since joining the UFC several years ago. Sugar Sean has continued to put together an impressive highlight reel during his time with the UFC, leading many to draw comparisons to Irish superstar Conor McGregor. In addition to his lengthy list of highlights, O'Malley has been very open about the fact that he wants his career to follow the trajectory of McGregor. As if that wasn't enough, UFC President Dana White recently stated, leading up to O'Malley's highly anticipated #1 contender fight with Petr Yan this Saturday, that if Sugar Sean manages to secure a win against the former champion, he would see a massive surge in his popularity, much like Conor McGregor did when he defeated Jose Aldo. Unsurprisingly, the comments didn't sit too well with Petr Yan, who spoke during the UFC 280 media day about the comparisons, saying, "Considering the other side of things, you can definitely compare it to Conor-Aldo fight. Sean is a UFC project and Conor wannabe, but the result of this matchup will be different. You saw my fight with Aldo already." A win over Petr Yan would without a doubt propel O'Malley's name to international superstardom. The way bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling, who's also fighting on the same card, how he sees things, O'Malley could very well jump out to an early lead on the scorecards with a high volume of strikes if Yan takes the first round to feel his opponent out. With just days to go until the bout, we want to hear from you. Do you think Yan will give O'Malley a rude awakening, or will Sugar Sean prove that he's the future of the division? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below.
Have you ever met Yoel Romero?
No.
That's the freak of all freaks. He's the freak of all freaks. Out of all the freak athletes that I've ever met in my life, I talked to Luke Rockhold about him, and he's like, even when you hit that guy, he's like, he's made out of metal. By the way, cheated against Tim Kennedy. Let's just say that right now. Tim Kennedy had him really badly hurt, cracked him, rocked him, and his corner did some sneaky shit and kept him on the stool.
What do you mean sneaky shit?
Sneaky shit where he didn't come out at the beginning of the round.
They get 1 minute, right?
They get 1 minute, and he was still sitting down, and Tim Kennedy's walking around, standing up. He's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he got an extra, I want to say 20, 30 seconds. And it rattled Tim, and, Tim to this day said that, he made a mental error getting upset and flustered about it, and, it really cost him in the fight. That they should have stopped that fight. He was not ready at the beginning of the round after, Tim had him badly hurt, rocked him. And one of the worst times that Yoel had ever been rocked in a fight.
Like probably almost barely made it to the chair at the end of the round?
Barely made it.
Okay.
Barely made it.
Sean Strickland takes aim at Scum TJ Dillashaw. Sean Strickland has once again found himself in the headlines this week, this time after ripping former bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw for his previous PED usage. With just days to go until Dillashaw looks to reclaim the bantamweight title by defeating Aljamain Sterling in the co-main event of UFC 280, the former champ has been criticized repeatedly for his past transgressions. In a recent Instagram post, Strickland set his sights on Dillashaw, stating,
TJ, you are the scum of the f***ing earth. The fact that you're even allowed to compete in MMA shocks me. And let me tell you why you're scum. Like when you beat a guy, maybe you would have won, maybe you wouldn't have won. But you go, you beat these guys, half their check is gone, their ranking's gone. Like you do so much damage to somebody's life just because you're roaring it out. You are scum. You should never be allowed to compete in MMA again.
The comments are similar to those made by other members of the MMA community leading up to the bout. Ever since Dillashaw was flagged for using EPO after being defeated by Henry Cejudo, he's continued to find himself in the crosshairs of fans and fellow fighters. Despite that, the former champion has stated, leading up to the bout, that he isn't bothered by the name-calling and incessant criticism. To the surprise of many, UFC President Dana White was one of the few who has defended Dillashaw in the days leading up to UFC 280. The UFC president applauded Dillashaw for admitting to his PED usage and facing the music like a man, rather than trying to hide behind denials and claims of tainted supplements. Although Dillashaw hasn't been able to shake the title of PED user, he could move one step closer towards earning the title of greatest bantamweight of all time with a win over Sterling this weekend. When the two men step into the octagon in the co-main event of UFC 280 this Saturday, who do you think leaves with the belt? Sound off in the comments below. Today's video was packed with some juicy stories from the fight world. What are your thoughts about what's going on in MMA? Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to see more videos just like this. See you next time.